the other thing?
People's court.
No.
People's court music. First.
Is this working?
Dear friends.
Oh God. All right, I think it's working now.
We're semi-alive.
Okay.
Sounds better.
All right, let's see what we got now. It's probably gonna freak out. It's probably gonna start bugging out. It's probably gonna be one of those weird ghosts that try to bite me real bad. Real bad. All right, well, either way, we're back with part 2, Electric Boogaloo. This time it's personal. This is not First Blood. This is not the part where you get to chase us through the woods and we hide out in a cave and eat meat over a fire. And then eventually the chief of police figures out that we're just having a PTSD episode and then everyone's happy. Okay? This is not First Blood. This is part 2, Electric Boogaloo. This time it's personal, and we will get even with this computer, and we will smash it with the rock if it continues behaving poorly. So, with that stated, I don't know what the hell we were talking about. I'm kind of having flashbacks to Nam right now, and that's just where we're at.
Do I get the belt full of money?
Yeah, there'll be a money belt.
Okay.
There'll be a Mayweather money belt for you. We'll make it out of diamonds. Hopefully there won't be slave diamonds from Africa or anything along those lines, and we'll all be all right. All right. Hopefully our audio sounds all right. Hopefully the video isn't giving people epileptic seizures. And I'm not having epileptic seizures anymore. I'm just having flashbacks to a painful episode when I used to fly A6s over Saigon, which, you know, seemed important at the time. Now, not so much.
Yeah, it was an incredible imagination.
Has anyone seen the videos on Kevin Novak's channel? He talks about things I've not seen anyone else in this hobby talk about, just wondering if his stuff is correct. I don't know that I have. I don't know that I have seen Kevin Novak talk about anything on his channel. I'm going to actually look it up and see. Maybe Potato Bro knows this guy. I don't know. That's just like, there's a whole bunch of pictures of some dorky looking nerds. Hold on, let's see here. Kevin Novak.
I don't remember that
Fish
channel, but
YouTube. Hold on, let's try this. Well, well.
I see planted
Oh,
things.
brother.
Planted things are nice.
Brother, we have to turn off the sound from the motherboard. And this sound off. Hold the presses, urgent, don't buy any aquarium lighting until you've seen this video. We are looking up what Kevin Novak is doing here, because I'm happy to answer y'all's questions. He's stuck a couple LEDs, bulbs in old fixtures. Those are Cobb LEDs.
Yeah.
There's nothing new here.
Cobs.
Each 150 watt LED light bulb holds 60 LEDs. That's 180 LEDs in one lamp. I don't mean to make fun of this guy, but those are just LED lights.
He just popped the light filter off, and it's just the bare
So
cobs.
if you actually take an LED light bulb that looks like a light bulb, and it's a LED, and you take the white part off, the covering, that's what it'll look like. And no, there's nothing very crazy about that. We all do that. Everyone here does that. Everyone here goes to Home Depot and buys the 6500K daylight LEDs, and we use them for all sorts of applications. I know you have them at your house. They work great. They work great. Yes, they do work. Nothing fancy about what that guy's doing. He just took the cover off of an LED, so it looks really weird. But I'll look more into his stuff and see if he's doing something really interesting, because I'm definitely down. Definitely down to check out anything if people are trying new stuff.
Not the lights.
Kitty litter is actually really old school. We actually used to do that 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago. That was actually introduced by...
I don't know.
Takahashi Amano was the first guy who introduced that.
Yeah.
He was the first guy. He was the first guy to figure out that if it's non-clumping, which is the old kitty litter, which used to exist. No smelly stuff in it. Better not have any parfums or anything along those lines. And what was old kitty litter made out of?
Hummus.
It's a pumice clay.
Pumice clay. What's fluoride made out of?
Clay, at least.
Clay fired with iron. So yes, the kitty litter has been around for quite a long time. People have been doing that for quite a bit. I actually moved from kitty litter. Well, I went backwards. I started out with EcoComplete originally. It was the new hot thing at the fish store in Lake City when I used to buy things in Lake City at the fish store. It was the new hot ticket, and I believe it was like $40 a bag or something like that, which, as you guys know, is an astronomical price at this point. When I started out, that was the new coolest thing that North Seattle had ever seen. It broke North Seattle. If you know Lake City, Lake City's just knife fights and crack dealing.
It's a great neighborhood.
It's a great neighborhood if
It's a
that's what
great
you're into.
neighborhood.
If those are the kind of afternoon hobby adventures that you're into, is knife fighting
Chinese
people
food's not bad.
for crack or around crack.
That's one
Well, the
thing.
Chinese food is pretty good, but you do have to avoid the knife fights and the crack dealing
That's true.
to get to the Chinese food and while eating the Chinese food. Typically, once you're coated fully in MSG, the crackheads and Michael Jackson style
keep
knife
their
fight
distance.
gangsters out in the street, they kind of just leave you alone. I think they smell it. I'm
You
not sure.
smell like them now.
It's a little bit like, you can smell it.
You can smell it.
You can smell it. You can smell it. But back then, EcoComplete was the coolest thing. It was super expensive, super duper expensive. It was like, it's wet in the bag. They put water in the bag with it.
Oh, and it's already live.
It's moist
Some
and
of
it's
it's already
live. It was the coolest thing, and then I ended up going to kitty litter after that, and then I moved over to Turface. So if you want a similar product to the old school kitty litter without having to hunt all over the place to find that specific type of kitty litter, I would actually just look up Turface, and a local store can order it in for you, like a landscaping store or any stuff like that. Turface. Oh, I should probably type it in here. Is that it's actually used for baseball fields, so landscape companies and stuff like that can get it in for you if that's what you want. I prefer to use the Stratum myself, because the Stratum actually, it's sort of a one-stop shop action. You get it, has pretty much everything you need. And I am not sponsored by Turface or Fluval or anybody for that matter. I'm sponsored by you guys. You guys.
Yeah, people that are supposed to be super chatting, every one of you at least $1. That'd be nice. I mean,
Well, Potato Bro,
not
Potato Bro
saying
over
you
here.
have to.
Potato Bro over here is saying
But it would
that.
be nice.
But we are a little ways in because of technical difficulties, and so I'm going to do the quick commercial portion, and then we'll go back to the video, because it seems like our video action is working now, and we'll only have minor epileptic seizures at this point, not grand mal, just the minor ones, which are okay. Just don't be driving when it happens. Oh yeah, I don't need to really look. Oh, we had to restart the whole.
Reset the world.
We had to reset the whole thing, so we got to go over to the Patreon here. Oh, those new and old. If you're not on the Patreon yet, you should get on it. Get onto the Patreon for sure, and go ahead and sponsor this stream and all this crazy nonsense that I do, and coming on here and talking to you guys. And the more we sponsor it, the more I can come on here and talk to you guys. Eventually we get to a point where I'll just sit here for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just entertaining 3 or 4 of those little clapping monkey things that you've seen at the carnival, until I just end up falling over dead. Right? Because we gotta have goals. So if you go, I didn't even link the damn thing in here. Oh yeah, I did. If you go right there to www.patreon.com/Joel_C, that is our Patreon page there. You can donate $1, $2, $5, $100. There's a new $100 mark. So if you $100 a month will get you what was called a producer title. So this is, by the way, one of our goal things that you guys can get in on. $100 a month. You can request for me to in-depthly cover whatever video you want me to make. It could be about skateboarding. It could be about how to make chocolate. It could be about what it's like to chase Vicky up and down 48 flights of stairs. And by the way,
I'll film
Columbia Tower has more than 48 flights of stairs, so we can put that together. So that's what that goal there is for. If you are the $10,000 a month Patreon patronizer, I will come to your house and help you with your projects. That is what I added on there, because with 10 grand I could pretty much go anywhere and come help you out with your fish tankery or paint your house or something. I'm not sure. Paint a whole bunch of landscapes all over the interior place of shrimps eating monsters, and well, what else would be in the mural?
Actually, remember we had a video idea at one time. It was shrimps and monsters. So you get the people that are running from the shrimp that are 3 times the size of people.
Okay. Giant shrimp attacking the people, just like Godzilla, and trying to take down Metropolis with probably a bunch of bees and mountains and trees in the background, right?
Nice.
Either way, that's what that is all for. So it's very considerate, or it's very confusing. I understand, but that's how it's going to be. And Joel Gillett is laughing. Ah ha ha. Anywhere? Yes, anywhere, as long as it's on Earth or the Moon. Yes. Can I travel to the Moon? Of course I can. Have you seen my biceps? Right? I would happily go to the Sea of Tranquility on the Moon. The other areas I don't prefer, actually, though. That's my favorite part of the Moon, so I would go there if you need me to go there. But gotta hit that $10,000 a month mark, right? And we'll build a robot. Anyhow. So that's what that whole thing is. If you haven't been to Dark Star Arts, Dark Star Arts is my website. You can click through the Amazon banner and go there and buy yourself chopsticks, MSG, and make your own Lake City style Chinese dinner, if that's what you like. It doesn't change the price, blah blah blah, and commercials are stupid. So let's do something else. Yes. All right. So you guys drove up here from. I'm gonna go like this. You guys drove up here from Portland, huh?
She wants plecos. I had plecos.
All right.
I brought the plecos.
You brought the plecos. This is part 2, so we're trying to go back over after we had technical difficulties. What happened? The guys, they drove up here from Portland to bring us some bristlenose plecos,
Yes.
and I called them cinnamon plecos, and I was wrong
You're always wrong.
because they're double reds, right?
It's supposed to be super reds. I don't know.
Super reds, double reds. What is it?
I bought them as super reds.
Okay.
So I say they're super reds. They look. Some of them grow up to be really red. Some of them just sort of orange. Some of them sort of a pale orange.
All right.
Cinnamon.
So I really don't. Yes, some of them are cinnamon for sure.
All right. So, but they're definitely redder than like the albino ones,
Oh
right?
yeah, much better.
But they're pretty. They're light colored like the albinos, and not the brown ones.
Yeah, they're not translucent.
It's kind of weird because there's so many albino ones out there now. It seems like the brown ones don't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm. And nobody
What's
wants
up with
them. People want them. You see them in the stores, but
Have you
They
seen
don't
them in the
seem
stores?
to.
I haven't seen them in the stores myself.
our store
Just the
carries
brown ones?
our store carries a couple here and there.
Oh, okay.
They'll bring in about 10 of them and put them throughout the store. So if somebody's coming in looking for a pleco and they don't want to spend that extra $10 for the slightly nicer fish, they go, "Oh, we got this guy. He only gets about 6 inches," and people pick them up.
Oh, okay. All right. Of the bristlenose.
Out of the bristlenose, just the plain brown and blackish.
I mean, do
bristlenose.
they ever really get to be about 6 inches though?
Most are usually about 5,
Yeah.
4.5.
Yeah, 4.
You get the
4,
long
4.5.
fins that are like 8 inches because they've
Well, they got
got the
sneaky
fins that
fins.
are so freaking long.
They got those sneaky fins. It's like if I wore my hair like who's
They
that
got
guy?
that going. Yeah,
Who's
it's,
the guy that
it's
had the big
different.
flat top? Oh, Kid and Play. Kid and Play? Well, who had the tall hair? The Play or
Well,
Kid?
Well, didn't the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith, didn't he have that one?
The big giant one?
No, he
No,
didn't
he
have
just
a
had a
huge
regular
one. He had a
haircut.
regular little.
Kid and Play had
2-inch
that
fro.
real tall one, but I can't remember. I don't remember who had the really high one. Was it Kid or Play? Because I think Kid had.
I honestly can't remember.
I can't remember either.
That's-
I can't remember which one. We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go to the phones, guys. Oops.
Phones with
Kid and
pictures.
Play. See, there they are.
No, not that
Oh,
one.
which one was which?
That's how big his hair was. But that's like me saying I was 6'5".
Yeah,
Right.
and it's the 5 inches.
But it's
there.
actually just 5 inches of hair up my head. You know, and then I'm like, yeah, well, I'm 6'5", and they're like, can you dunk? And I'm like, no. They're like, well, you're the worst, right?
It's like you should be able to just reach the net.
You should just be able to reach right up there. Yeah, I can't remember which one had the tall. Kid? Oh, Kid had the tall hat.
Kid out there.
All right, so
Thank you.
Play had the rose. I liked his rose back in the day. All right, let's see what other questions we have in here. We don't have any questions. I think we turned everybody off with our technical difficulties.
I
earlier.
saw my name for a second, but I don't know where it was.
It was
Carson missed me. I'm
Asked-
sorry,
asked
Carson.
if you
You're not
asked.
too far. You can come down here.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed Potato.
Somebody asked if you brought anything.
Who?
Carson, going down. The very bottom.
What does Carson know about?
Says
Oh, he did. Yeah, he brought the cinnamon plecos, bristlenose plecos. I'm calling them cinnamon because I'm good at branding things. I'm just that good at branding things, and I'm just gonna call them cinnamon bristlenose plecos. So then we can jack the price up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we're
they're
not.
new.
If we're using
They
I
are.
don't
Latin,
know.
if we use Latin, then everybody knows we're just selling bristlenose plecos. But if we
Yeah.
call them cinnamon,
Call them cinnamon. Say they're Joel's. Yeah,
Cinnamon.
Joel's line.
cinnamon,
Joel's cinnamon line.
cinnamon.
Jack up the price
No,
too.
it's Corvus.
Corvus cinnamon plecos.
Nobody likes
Well,
that.
see, you got your
Nobody
Latin.
would buy that.
Well, see, you got Latin in your name, so we'll just work with that.
Hell, I wouldn't buy that.
Pretty sure.
I'm an adult. I'd
People-
spend my money on mortgages and important things.
But
Ah,
people
Eve
on the
Daigel's here.
People on the internet.
Ah, I was waiting this whole time. I was waiting for Eve Daigel. Eve is here.
Hello, Eve.
That's Potato. Potato's here too.
Hello.
So is Sarah
And a wife. And a wife.
and Victoria.
Not mine. Not mine.
Yes.
That one's mine. That one's
All right.
his.
Well, we failed at the video portion earlier. This is going to be the most ridiculous upload when this thing uploads. I'm going to just let it upload all sorts of jacked up.
Any tips on
Something sharks.
iridescent sharks besides buying a swimming pool? What?
Oh, we don't need this. Hoi! Hoi!
What are we looking at?
Whoa.
Oh,
Container.
Iridescent sharks.
oh, the iridescent sharks. All right, so let's talk about this. Iridescent shark is generally a pangasius catfish, right? I believe so.
Big
Pangasiolodon hypothalamalus. These guys right here.
They're endangered.
When they're little,
Mm-hmm.
people buy them and then they put them in their fish tank and then they get really big and then it's a huge disaster.
Yes.
So if I had any advice other than getting a swimming pool, we were actually just looking up what the iridescent shark is. We're basically looking up what you were looking up or what you were asking about. And here's the fish for those of you that are way into Googling yourself. Oops. Oh, oops.
You must
I
Google
Googled.
yourself.
Well, hold on. Relax, guy. I'm gonna put it in here in the chat. Look, see that?
No, not that. Google yourself. Google yourself. Put your real name in there.
Oh, Google yourself.
See what people think.
Oh yeah,
It's
everyone
always
should do
come
that.
up.
Everyone
Oh,
should certainly
I
do
googled
that.
him once, and you were what? You had a video, like in that was playing in Cambodia. It was that review video.
Oh, I have
Nice.
I have a #1 video in China that I get no credit for.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yes,
that's
that
not
is the
fair.
one that comes up. I'm on the Chinese YouTube, which I don't get paid for.
That's amazing.
No one-
I did not know that.
Yeah, China's its own network. It's its own independent network that the American stuff can't be on. But my videos are highly viewed by some jackass that uploads them in China, which is hilarious.
That's,
I bet if I wandered around China, eventually one person out of the 1.3 billion that live there would recognize me.
you took
Probably take about 40 years,
That
but
was racist. I'm sorry.
eventually I'd run into somebody. I'd run into somebody that was like, "Oh man, you're that guy. You're that guy from before." And I'd be like, "Nope, I'm gonna go take a nap, bruh." And but he's asking about iridescent sharks, which is essentially a giant catfish. And I would highly recommend
10 for your 10-gallon.
not necessarily a. Yeah, that's helpful. That's helpful.
That's how the internet works.
10 in your 10-gallon. I would actually highly recommend looking into getting a decent sized tank around a 180 or 240 or a 300, somewhere in that range, and it's still going to outgrow that tank. But it will give you enough of a time frame to whether or not you want to actually build a big enough habitat for it. It's going to take quite a few years to get to that point. That's kind of the recommendation I give people. Somebody asked me one time what they should do with their alligator gar, and was like, well, get yourself a big tank and get it in there and let it grow, and eventually it'll get to the point where you'll rehome it and sell it to somebody who wants a big one. So I don't normally dissuade people from getting a fish that will grow really big, like red-tailed catfish, but I recommend them to get a decent sized tank and allow it to actually grow up to its actual adulthood, and then from there, once it actually is adulthood, or as it's getting to that point, once it starts getting bigger, you can start making a decision whether you're going to build a 500 or 1,000 gallon space for it to live in. You know, for instance, one of the store owners that I like to go to used to have a bunch of what's not gars? What's the other big fish? No, not alligator gars, but the other one. They're
Which ones are you talking about? Something long and skinny or
big freshwater, like a gar.
Oh, arapaima.
Arapaimas. Yeah, there you go. That's another reason that Potato Bro is here. He had large arapaimas in essentially an indoor swimming pool is what he had them in, and eventually decided to rehome them once they were fully grown, because he was like, look, I can't keep feeding 10 giant fish every single day.
It's a cool fish. It looks like somebody took an arowana, chopped its head off, and put a gar head on it. Sort of.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the recommendation I would give, and that was from. I wasn't the person that came up with that. One of my old buddies, Jeff, used to manage a fish store for a really long time when we were kids. I'm not going to say his name on here, but she knows Jeffel McJeffelton. She actually knows him, and that was one of the things that was one of the pieces of advice that he gave me at the time. And as many years have gone by, I've found that giving that advice to people has worked out pretty well. Because when it's time to rehome a big fish, there actually is a market for it. Believe it or not. I know a lot of people like myself don't want to buy a giant fish, but there are a lot of people out there that want a giant fish. So
if you're industrious enough, you can just caulk your entire house and just fill the house.
You could, but the windows won't hold. The windows won't hold. Actually, the pressure will push them out.
It's where people like you and I come in. We fix that problem.
Right. But we still need to get to the $26,000 mark on the Patreon to get the tank that big.
Oh no, we need $10,000 to come out and fix people's houses.
Yeah, but that's the first step to getting to the $26,000 to build giant house-size aquariums and then just drop them off, right?
So here you go.
Because they're modular, we can just drop them off.
Yeah, we're thinking at least 3 sizes.
Like just put them in people's driveways and then just leave.
You got the pod size, the 20-foot,
In the cover of night.
and the 45-foot for the people who are slightly ambitious.
Let's see here. Eve Daigle has a good question, so let me roll through the chat here real quick. Here we go. 7 days in the cycling with the DR diatom bloom. Started yesterday. Ammonia 1 part per million. Nitrate 2 to 5 parts per million. Or nitrite, sorry. Nitrate at 40 parts per million.
You don't want any nitrite at
These
all.
number are after 15% water change earlier today. But this is only 7 days into the cycle, right? So a quick question here, Eve. So we need to know, did you use mature media into your system to kickstart the cycle, right? And he's familiar with that. I'm familiar with that. I'm not sure if anybody out there, people might not know what the hell I'm talking about. But a little while ago, I was talking about this in a video where I got those bags of biomedia in, and the funny thing is Vicky just noticed those today. She just noticed those in the sump. She was like, "Did you get new bags of biomedia?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're in there so that we can start the new tank." That's what we got them for, so we can kickstart the 180.
Yeah, you can do the biomedia, or you do it like I do.
She looks very unhappy with me if I look in the camera, but if I look back there, she doesn't look mad at me. She looks mad at me in the camera, but she doesn't. If I keep looking back at her because I'm afraid she might stab me. She looks super mad on the camera, but she does.
That's just my face.
Oh, there's a brown floppy dog down here.
Yes.
Look out. Look out for flop dog.
That's a bad description. But
Is
it's,
it?
So as,
but it's spot on.
as I was saying, so the biomedia, now one of the reasons why I stock up on so much biomedia is that I'm able to put it into a fully cycled tank, into the sump. And then I'm able to bring that and add it in if I set up a new tank. Now the reason for that is it's going to bring a lot of the bacteria and all that stuff from a fully cycled tank and kickstart the cycle and actually turn the cycle really quick. So let's see, Eve Dangle says, nothing fancy like that here, just dry rock and dose some pure ammonia starting old school. Okay, well, okay man, one more question. Is this a saltwater tank or a freshwater tank? We got, that's the one thing that we're gonna know. We're gonna need to know. Because even if you're going old school, I highly recommend finding something that actually has some bacteria on it from a cycle tank. Okay? Now the easy way to do that in a saltwater tank is to go and buy like
1 or 2 chunks of live rock.
2 pounds of live rock, just 2 little chunks of live rock. And even if you don't like them, just throw them in your sump.
You can bury them later.
Because that's what I have in my sump. If you look at my sump, all the broken, janky, nasty little tiny pieces of live rock that I have, those are in the first chamber of the sump because they have all that beneficial bacteria on them. So it doesn't really matter. Okay, well, all right. Whoa, let me start over on that statement because it does matter where you get your live rock from. I was like, it doesn't really matter where you get it from, but it does matter where you get it from. So if you go to a store or something like that, it's pretty easy to find. I would go local. I would throw something up on Facebook and just go like, hey, I started a new saltwater tank, and I need somebody to seed my biological seed, and a whole bunch of reefers. So locally here in Western Washington, mine is called Pacific Northwest Reef something, or Washington Reef and Aquatics. There's a couple of them here, but if I posted something up in there, I guarantee you I would get a response that somebody would go like, hey, just come over to my house, I'll give you a couple chunks out of the sump. So some nice wet pieces of rock, you just throw them right in your sump, and that will kickstart your cycle going. If you're gonna go old school, especially in saltwater, 3 months, 4 months.
See, I'm resetting.
Saltwater?
I'm restarting my tanks, but everything's mature, and I'm still gonna have to wait at least 3 weeks before everything goes in because I have to redo everything.
No, I mean dry start though.
Dry start.
He's
Yeah,
going
you're
dry.
looking 3 months.
He's going dry start. So I'm
Yeah, 3
saying
months.
4 months was the last time we did it. Because we did it in a bucket in the garage. And I will tell you guys something. If you're going to dry start, a saltwater tank, prepare yourself for whatever room that is in to smell like shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way to describe it. It smells like somebody came in there and took a dump right on the floor. Between like
And you have
1.5 and 2.5 weeks or something. There's like a month where it smells like somebody took a dump in
You
there.
have that bad smell, but you also have that feeling that you gotta fight because you're gonna look at this tank every day for 3 months going, I wanna put a fish in there.
Mhm.
And you just can't because the ammonia is gonna be so high.
Yeah. Well, there's no. I mean, as soon as you put something in it,
It's
the
gonna start,
ammonia will go
but-
through the roof, and there's no.
But you just can't put anything in there, it'll just kill it.
Yeah, it would just die overnight, basically. You know, I mean, anything going in there is going to have a real problem. So, whoa, 915 Mang is here. What's up, dude? It says Matrix works well if you don't want live. Matrix does work fine. You can get chemical stuff and everything like that, but I really prefer to not get chemical stuff. So I would say look up for that. Now, on the other case, you can actually go to some stores, but here's the downside. If you're brand new to saltwater, it is going to be very difficult for you to look at a store system and see pests or any kind of bad things going on. I mean, most people would look at Aptasia and go, "Wow, that's a cool little frilly,
Cool, free anemone.
it's a cool little frilly guy, like a cool little frilly guy." And Aptasia will be the bane of your existence for a really, 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 really long time. So one of the big things I would say with going to a store would be a little bit dangerous, but somebody with a good local reputation could actually just give you some seed rock, and you could just throw it in your sump, because that's what I did. Um, and that's the easiest way to do it, because like you were saying, you're going to have a tank that you want to put something in. You're going to, every single day you want to keep putting something in there, and you're going to think it's like 100 days of getting up every day, going over, testing the water, seeing what's going on. You're going to have to be doing water changes this whole time too, because you have to do a water change once every week and a half.
Week and a half, 2 weeks.
Week and a half to 2 weeks. So you're going to have to do water changes with nothing in it. You're not even getting any reward for doing your water changes.
And you still want a light cycle just so you can help any sort of, not bacteria, bacteria is going to come in later, not algae. You do want some algae to start going in there already too. And
Right.
you need that light cycle going already too.
Right. So, I mean, it really is to your benefit to get some seed rock, because it'll really kick that forward. It'll take that four-month timeline down to about 2 to 3 weeks. And, you know, also on top of it, it's not free to do a water change in a reef tank or a saltwater tank. It's not free. You have to buy salt. You're going to be spending money to buy salt to do your water changes. I would just go ahead and get a little bit of a seed rock. I love what you're doing. You're clearly testing. That is exactly what you need to keep going. Keep writing down your tests, figuring out what's going on. But you will notice over a period of time that if you add a little bit of seed rock to this, it's going to cycle really quickly, and you're going to start getting to the point where you're going to be able to start adding some basic corals and a couple of things into your tank, and then taking care of those. And here's the thing: if you have some zoanthids or something like that, if you have some zoanthids or things along those lines, they are really fun to watch, and you get used to checking up on them on a daily basis and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, I found something out the hard way a long time ago. Is you can get away with some nitrites in a freshwater tank. Saltwater tank, any bit of nitrates at all, doesn't matter the part per million count, you're going to kill your fish.
You're going to have a disaster on your hands, pretty much. Yeah, there's just no...
So you cannot have nitrites in the tank at all.
Yeah. So I'm reading through the chat. So Potato's going to keep talking about nitrites and the one time that he had problems with them.
Oh, that was fun.
How many fish did we lose?
Yeah, we lost probably $200 in fish.
In a week?
It was her first pretty little Antheus, a lemon peel angel. The crabs and stuff seemed to be fine, but any actual fish were unhappy. Yeah, that's the toll of not waiting for a tank to be fully cycled before you throw the fish in. Once you get a fairly mature tank, you can get away with some overstocking, but you have to do just like a freshwater tank, and keep it up with water changes. It's the only way to keep yourself from having a big issue on your hands. I like fish.
Yeah, nitrite. Yeah, so it really is, I've been down that road too before, especially we went old school with some of the original saltwater stuff that we did, and honestly, it just really wasn't worth the legwork. It was good to be testing, it was good to be paying attention to what was going on and all that kind of stuff, but it really wasn't worth the space smelling like garbage, hot doo-doo garbage. Like, it literally smelled like a hobo came in and took a dump in the garage when that was ongoing, and was a big pain in the butt, and there wasn't any benefit. I mean, other than I was testing and stuff, so I just had to keep testing, and it just cost money, realistically, like I said, to be able to check out essentially a bucket full of nothing, realistically. So I would just get a piece of seed rock, get your cycle going, get things rocking and rolling, and move on. And not worry about it, and really just not have a problem. So, but speaking of saltwater tanks, let's go to the video portion that we couldn't handle before because of the technical difficulties.
The angry pixies.
Oh, now it's not playing. It's always going to be something, guys. Haha, there we go.
That's doing that thing.
All right, so speaking of my reef tank, people have been asking about the reef tank and what's been going on with it. The ongoing saga of my flex line and the ball valve have gotten me to the point where I'm losing it. It was time to change this stuff around and get it, and also make more space, because the way that I had the piping routed coming down was not working out very well. It was really just wasn't working out in the way that it should. So it was time to fix it, and we finally had time today on Labor Day, right?
You had time today, yes.
We had time today.
Time was made, you got things done.
Vicki was working on her floor for the greenhouse, which will be upcoming. I know people have been waiting for that, and that will be coming up fairly soon.
Like,
Sand
he
and
talks
stone
like
everywhere.
I helped plumb
helped so
the salt tank or something.
If it wasn't for you, I don't know.
Right?
Vicki helps me with everything, and she's humble bragging right now.
Yeah.
So don't listen to Vicki
I came
when she
over,
says she
was
doesn't do
sweating,
anything.
moving all the pipe.
It's a humble brag that Vicki doesn't help, because Vicki helps. She's helping in that video right there. Check it out.
My hands look a lot like your hands.
You just put
Well,
plaid on today.
It's weird.
I got his tattoo.
But either way, so this overflow right here, as you guys know, is the siphon on the right hand side. The left hand side is actually the emergency. If something happens to the main siphon, then that left hand pipe right there will handle any water that is being pumped up into the tank and head it back to the sump, regardless of what's going on. The issue that I was having is that I had the ball valve on here. You guys know that have been around here a while. The last thing I wanted to do was put a ball valve on the siphon here, but I couldn't find a gate valve that was actually coming in at the 1.5 inch size. And I really didn't want to put a 2-inch ball valve on a 1.5 inch line. It's just janky. So what I ended up doing is I hard lined this back in and made it so that it is it's essentially dropping from 1.5 inch down to 1.25 down to 1 inch, so that it's just a steady siphon. And it's what is that? It's mechanical, right?
It's mechanical.
That's the word I'm looking for.
There's
Mechanical on a hard line.
no extra intervention needed.
Right. No extra intervention. It's just the size that it needs to be. So it's actually flowing pretty well. And this is me walking through, having to throw away bulkheads and throw away the stuff, and install the new one, basically. I got everything done in this video other than installing the J-hook to hold it up there. So if any plumbers come along and start freaking out that I didn't put any J-hooks in, I did after the fact. I didn't have any 1.5, so I only had 2 inches, so I had to go to the store and get some, and they're on there now, but I didn't have the camera at the time that I put those in. But I essentially needed to add some sweepy elbows and move the pipe heading over this way, along with a couple 90 degrees and 60 degrees to get it to come back in. But it's made a lot more space for the skimmer and the new lights that are going in over the refugium area, which is, I think, going to help overall. It's a much more directional light, so I'm not getting a little bit of the extra brown algae from the 24-hour light cycle over that whole rock area, and only refined to the refugium area. So I'm actually liking it quite a bit. You can actually see the light fixture is right there, hanging over on the sump. It's actually just set aside, sitting on the sump. And then coming up tomorrow, we'll have some video on adding the GFO reactor and the carbon reactor to this. I'm going to end up having to put them, I'm going to put both reactors in full time and take out one of the skimmers because the one main skimmer that I have in there actually is working quite well for the size of this tank and the bio load in it. So I'm going to actually be...
What size drains are those is one of the questions.
Yeah, those are 1.5 inch drains, so I actually dropped the siphon down from 1.25, or sorry, from 1.5 down to 1.25 down to 1 inch is the siphon running right now. And my return pump's actually the Iwaki pump, kind of the big Iwaki, and that 1 inch is working perfectly just to draw just a little bit of air to get a little extra oxygenation coming down into my sump on the left hand side. So it's working out pretty well. I like it. With the ball valve before, was getting really inconsistent, probably a little detritus or something caught in it. It was getting really inconsistent. Sometimes it'd be pulling air. Sometimes it'd be nice and smooth and have zero air. So it was just time to get rid of it, get it out of the way, and get back to business, right? Right, babe?
Yes.
That's what Vicky says. Vicky says,
She was working too hard, she can't remember.
"Jeez, jeez."
Yes.
She said, "Yes." Eve Daggle's asking if I get a few pieces of live rock, do I place them in the sump or the main tank? Oh, Eve, it's not going to matter which that you put them in. You can put them in the sump or the main tank. It's not going to matter. If they happen to be ugly,
Only thing that'll help is placement is high flow area. That'll help the bacteria flow a little better. Other than that,
yeah, I mean a little bit.
other than that, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not really going to matter. I mean, like Potato was saying, you'd want to put them in a higher flow area just to literally have water touching it, right? More water touching it than not. But it's really not going to matter if you put them in the sump or the main tank. Is really going to be the thing.
Yeah.
Either way, it's going to work out fantastic.
Yeah. One thing that came up with the dry start is trying to feed it to help get things started. Yes, you do want to feed your tank.
Yeah. He was talking. So Eve here, Kirk Lakey is saying that in a dry start saltwater tank, you still need to feed it. A shrimp from your local grocery store works. Saute the rest. Yes, this is exactly how I normally do it. If I have an empty tank and I'm allowing the stuff to go, I throw a raw shrimp in the sump. That is exactly the same way I do it, but I don't. What's the word? So Eve earlier was saying that he was using ammonia. He's actually adding ammonia to feed the cycle during the dry start process that he's working on right now. Some people like the dry start process because they think that it will really allow to have a completely pest-free system, but the downside is that you can have a pest-free system, but you can have an ugly, unfun system. You know what I mean? Not fun.
I started one of my salt tanks completely fresh, absolutely nothing. Everything was dry, and somehow I managed to end up with bristleworms still. It wasn't a large infestation, but they were still there.
Right.
And it just happens that even if you follow all procedures to clean corals and stuff, there's always that chance one little thing will carry that egg or a baby or something, and you'll end up with a few pests regardless.
Right.
So.
Right. I mean, you can essentially get pests from just about anything, especially if we're talking about microscopic stuff. You could really have a problem, and that's the one upside to dry starting something is that you could essentially have a pest-free system, but it's really going to become the thing that you're going to start adding so many corals, you're going to start adding so many fish, different types of food. I mean, frozen food. What's in frozen food? You know, you don't necessarily know where the frozen food was harvested or how it was harvested or that kind of stuff. You can really transmute something from that. If you had like you said, like if you had bristleworm eggs in some frozen food and you threw it in the tank,
They'll survive.
They'll survive and could hatch. You know, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh man, I've got pests in my saltwater tank. I don't understand. I spent a year doing the dry start and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, Donnie Sills bringing up an old thing. That used to be a thing back in the day. People would piss in their tank, but now they just use the jug of ammonia. It's the same general concept. That was something my brother-in-law showed me a long time ago.
Right. I'm not sure. Let's see, Lecter Records. Wonder if you're having a phase issue between the two mics canceling each other out. I'm not sure. Are we canceling each other out? I don't know. I don't think we are. It might be.
The lights on the board move.
Yeah,
I think we're good.
The lights on the board are moving.
It must be working.
So I don't know. Everything went kind of freaky earlier with the technical difficulties that we had earlier. So I apologize if anybody is having problems with the video or anything along those lines. But there we go. There's the end of the video segment for today, and hopefully I don't know, hopefully we got something out there for somebody, and hopefully let's see, hopefully it worked out. Where's the, oh, I have to go to this thing.
You broke all the things.
No, I have to, wait, what the,
Confused.
oh, they changed the buttons around, so I'm trying to figure out the buttons on YouTube.
What'd you do?
Nothing, don't. Talk about something. Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves.
I don't know why.
Got a shirt on?
Well, you're supposed to
They're
be
all
able to
cartoons
go
from the
to my
The
channel.
cartoons were good.
Where the hell did the my channel thing go now?
They changed YouTube a couple
They
days
changed
ago.
YouTube as of a couple days ago, so.
I know, but there used to be a my channel. What the?
Is it the home? The home button?
Oh, you have to go over here now.
Yeah.
So instead of going to the left side, now you have to go to the right hand side, and it takes you here. But now the video manager's gone.
Yes.
Looks like it.
You got Edit Layout and Creator Studio. It's probably your best bet.
I guess go to Creator Studio instead of. Why change it?
That's still not the same.
Well, this is the video manager, but now it's called Creator Studio. How helpful is that? Thanks, YouTube. Thanks for changing that.
Hey, let's send out an email that explains
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, send the emails out to everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know, guys. We tried. Did we try? I think we tried.
I don't remember if we talked
Did we
about anything
succeed?
important
I don't
today.
know if we talked about anything important today. Probably not. Who knows? I don't know. It worked, but it didn't work. So who knows? We'll see how it goes, you guys. I tried to get this thing to work, but where'd the thing go here? I'm gonna answer some of the questions that we had earlier. Kevin Hayes was checking in and saying that he has been unable to catch any of the live streams because he's moving back from Florida, and but he just got YouTube Red, so he's going to go over to YouTube Red and be able to download all the episodes. And I think we lost Joel Gillett. He must be I think we lost a bunch of moderators and stuff.
I think Joel disappeared when we broke the stream the first time.
Yeah, a bunch of people left it right at 5 o'clock. There must be somebody else doing the live stream that's more interesting than me, I guess.
No.
But I'm going to run through this anyhow. So Kevin Hayes got YouTube Red, which is fantastic because those of you that if you've ever used YouTube Red, I've never used it myself, but everybody says you're able to download all of the stuff. And you're able to download all the shows and like listen to them and stuff like that from after the fact. And you don't have to listen with the screen open. That's one of the big things. Do you have YouTube Red?
I do not have it.
All right, nobody here has it. There's 4 of us, and 0 of us have it. So we'll have to check in with Kevin Hayes and see if he likes it or not. We just found out that Just Bob is M. Den Hollander. M. Den Hollander of Patreon fame, right? M. Den Hollander, our first. So when I go over here, this is what I'm doing. I'm having to go over here to access the other shit. And
Looking at things.
yeah, that thing, and then we have to click the thing, and then we have to click the thing.
We got the people.
And we got the thing, with the other thing.
Got Kyle West, Kevin
Right.
Hayes.
So
David
M.
Rowe.
Den Hollander, I found out, is Just Bob. They are the same guy. M. Den Hollander is our first Patreonizer on Patreon. He was the first guy to patronize our patronization, and I found out that Just Bob's is the same guy. So from here on out, I'm going to try to refer to him as Just Bob, right? Instead of M. Den Hollander, because it's confusing everybody. But I'm going to give a shout out to Aquarium Co-op at the $250 a month level. that's pretty amazing. Right?
Even I'm gonna say thanks for that one.
Right.
Long Woo and Steven Skoglund with the super chat of $2 today. Definitely a big contributor, and we're going to be sending out some stuff to Steven, that's for sure. Long Woo, we're going to go over to his house and work on some stuff fairly soon. I don't know when. I haven't heard back from him in a little bit. Joel Gillett at the $10. Jack Betts, a new $10 patronizer. Cichlid Bro, of course, and Mden Hollander, who we found out is Just Bob's, is our first patronizer. He holds the title. He holds the title to first.
So couldn't we just mix his name and say just Hollander?
Just Bob, the Mden Hollander.
Just Hollander.
Kyle Waldewell, Kevin Hayes, Gene Fensky, which I found out I was saying it wrong. I was saying Gene Fensk before. It turns out it's Fensky. Now I lost my place because you moved. Sashimi Whiskey, Jennifer J. Sarchicino, Matt Gilmet, Karen Casey Ellis, and 3D Reefer and Matthew. Both of those guys are named Matthew down at the $1 a month cheapskate down there at the bottom. I can say that about Matt. I can say that about one of the Matts because that Matt is the Weber, and I know he's a cheapskate. So the other Matthew, I don't know, but we'll try to find out if he is.
Lieberman.
Is he thrifty like me? Or is he a cheapskate like Weber?
See, I'm bad with money, so I can't guarantee money.
No. No, I've never shorted anybody in regards. That potato is here right now. I would like to apologize from my, we did a live stream the other night where I was talking about gratitude, and Potato is one of the people I wrote down, and I forgot to thank him because, you know, when we were in a time of need, he actually came down, down or up? Is it up?
It's up.
Did you drive up from Oregon?
It's up.
We drive up from Oregon, but you could be driving down.
I could be
Because you live up.
driving left
Going
depending on
down.
what way you're
Yeah, that's right.
staring when you
Maybe-
start.
Maybe you live up and I live down,
No.
right? When we needed some help, they brought some fish, they brought some shrimp, came up and hung out, and we bought them lunch. So I don't know who was the winner of that
I think
whole
I'm-
ordeal. I think I'm the winner.
Food
I think
wins.
I'm the winner, well, because I got to eat also.
But you had to pay.
So I think, well,
Well, that time around, we tried to pay.
that's
And
how
we
that's
were
how it
happy
works
about
in the
it,
world. Let's see. Spencer Ballard is really enjoying our content.
Yeah,
Just
fish
subscribed.
is
Hey man, thanks
We
for
had- we
subscribing.
ate
I
fish
really,
at one point.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
we
you
did.
guys.
No, that's
And
true.
it really is.
Poor fish.
It's. I don't know, man. It's difficult for me to explain that I really do. I really do appreciate this whole situation that we're in. We are sort of at a point. We're sort of at a point right now where we're either here or here. I mean, we're at a point where it's a jump off point, if that makes sense. I feel like are we at the edge of the diving board? I feel like we're at the edge of the diving board. Are we there at the edge of the diving board, or are we still at the beginning of the diving board? Are we even at the pool? Vicky says we're not even at the pool yet. We gotta put gas in the car, I think is. She's apparently got nothing to say.
I know.
Internet just
I
left. I was listening, and then it's gone. I'm
Right?
sorry.
Yeah.
We're at a jump off point as far as this channel and how I feel and how the production is going to keep going. And I can't express enough of my gratitude towards how things are going. I'm going to keep working really hard to make all the videos that I can to answer your guys' questions. And not to mention the fact that I find it really interesting. You guys give me a ton of direction to things to research, things to work on, and things to pass on as much as I can. Oftentimes, I maybe give you a 90% answer with a hanging chat of 10% of I don't know, and I try to come through that
You
as much as I
usually
can.
get the answers that people are asking for, but the problem is we have to listen to 10 minutes of babble and then figure out what he said.
Well, I don't consider that a problem because it's me babbling,
But it's there.
right?
But
Well, but it's me babbling, so I feel good about it because
But it gets to
I
the
like to
point.
hear the sound of my own voice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You
It's
get
like
to the point. That's
So-
what
One
matters.
one hand clapping in the woods, right? Is that how that goes? It's the sound of one hand clapping whilst in the woods. America, land of the free.
Oh boy.
Just imagine any one of us could be president someday.
That'd be
Donnie
fun.
Hill is saying, pick your brain, Joel. I like the look of the black diamond blasting media, and it's easy to plant in so far on my 220. Thinking about doing an inch of fluorite, an inch of Eco Complete, and cap it with about an inch of black diamond. Do you think that that could work?
Mhm.
Yes, that can work, but I do want you to keep in mind that blasting sand will eventually become impregnable, right? Compacted,
Yes, it'll turn into.
and it will hold gases and anaerobic things going on underneath it. So what you would need to do is, if you're thinking, and we need a little visual aid here, right? A little visual aid. So we want to, well, that's where we're going tomorrow. We'll give away the address, guys. That would be weird.
Place.
They put the address on the internet on accident,
But
and then people would show
One,
up.
one thing you can get away with to help with that is some sort of fish that sand sifts, but you also want something that's not going to dig so much that it uproots every plant you got.
Right, that's
So
going to
there's
be
a-
that's going to be the
kinda hard.
ultimate problem. But I'm drawing out a little diagram here. Well, I hope I'm not babbling too much for you guys. We're like 10 or 20 minutes of babbling while I'm
Yeah,
over here drawing off screen. Gosh, freaking guy. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. I do babble like a psycho, and every once in a while, I meet somebody in my life that will rein me back in, and her name is Vicky. You know what's funny is they could all be talking behind me, but I have the
One
microphone.
of these days we'll live in property, but you'll be on one side of the property. We'll be
So
on
I have a
the other
little-
end of the property.
You'll hear him from the other side.
It's too bright in here. Oh, there we go. I have
There
to
you go.
turn it
I
this
see
way.
it. I see it.
Okay, so if you imagine that this is the footprint of your tank, okay? This is the footprint of
Your
your
tank
tank.
has a foot.
This open area right here at the back is the back. And this 2/3 in the front is your sand, okay? You want no sand here in the back third. Put all your rocks and all that kind of stuff back there. And then any of that anaerobic stuff will slowly move its way to the back and be released in the back area there. So if that makes, I wanted to draw it out so I'd have a
You
little bit of a
definitely
visual
want
representation, but the
The
front,
gases to
the-
go out the back.
yeah,
You're
you want the
giving it
gases to
escape
go out
route.
the back, guys. You get jokes. We got jokes here. We got jokes, kid. We do want the gases to go out the backside, aka the buns hole of your aquarium. So essentially, think like the front 2/3 of the tank have that be that blasting sand that you're really wanting to use, and then the back third be essentially fluoride and Eco Complete back there, and it will keep kind of an opening to allow some of the transfer of that anaerobic gas to make its way out, and essentially keep your tank healthy for a long period of time. Now, I know this because of denial and error, right? I like to say denial and error because I denied the fact that what I was doing was wrong. I screwed it up a bunch of times, and then I eventually figured out that this worked over a long period of time. It eventually worked out pretty well for me.
If you got something that'll carpet, you won't even notice there's a break in substrate.
Yeah, and realistically, if you're using fluorite, or you can use the black fluorite. They have black fluorite now. If you like that black diamond blasting sand, fluorite actually sells a black sand that looks just like that. Just looks like that diamond blasting sand, but it's also great for planting in. It's essentially a fluorite sand that actually works really well. In the past, I've used that in the front of my tanks to kind of supplement for, to make it a little easier for carpeting plants to.
Prior to your move, you had it in the 180.
Yeah, I had it in the 180 in that front kind of portion. So what would you call that? Like a half moon or a half circle? Well, I don't know. It was like a half. It was kind of a half circle area in the front, like a
If it was a
like
field,
a-
it was a meadow.
amphitheater. It was like an amphitheater where they would do
With your ferns, like,
Shakespeare in the
to
park.
sky.
The shrimp would go to the amphitheater area in the front and do Shakespeare in the park. Typically Hamlet, but sometimes in Midsummer Night's Dream. Don't like the dialogue as much, but I think they did pretty well until they were boiled in a bucket
I think that's
when
how
we
you
tried to move them from Seattle to Tacoma.
That's how you decided you were upset with their performance. You boiled them. Good
Yeah,
job.
so their acting career came to an end. Sad. Their accents were terrible too.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they don't know how to read.
They were trying to be French. They were clearly Asian.
It's Shakespeare improv. Let's see. Downhill, last question. It's a 30-inch deep tank I have for a 36-inch Finex planted plus lights going to invest in some CO2. You think I'm good and in the highlight category to grow highlight level plants? Yes. Yeah. He's got 4 36-inch Finex planted plus lights in there.
That's quite a bit of light.
Yeah, I would definitely say you were in the highlight category.
Yeah, at least mid-tank up, for sure.
Well, the LED actually has that good penetration versus
Yeah,
the fluorescent bulbs or incandescents and whatnot. The wavelength's a little bit tighter and more directional, so I would watch out. You're definitely going to have some slight issues with algae. I would watch out. I would slowly ramp up those. I would slowly ramp up those lights. I would start with 1 for a week, then 2 for a week, then 3 for a week. I mean, I don't even know. I might even gap them out a little bit further than that, if at all possible. Oh, and Jenny Lee coming in here right at the end. Hashtag fish fan. Hashtag fish fan. Are you hashtag fish fan?
Hashtag fish fan.
Vicky says
Do
hashtag
you
fish
like
fan.
your fish?
Yes.
Do you like them being part of your family?
Yes.
Do you like the people that like fish who might be part of your family?
Yes.
Perfect, you're a fish fan.
I like.
Hashtag fish fan. Hashtag fish
I
fan.
solemnly swear from this day forward.
Hashtag fish fan. Fish fan. Oh, Carson just brought up a good point. Good luck on your drive home. It might be crazy driving home tonight. What do you think going south? It's going to be nutty.
I'm hoping for clear roads. I don't know.
Stop at the outlet store.
Oh, we gotta stop at the outlet store. Look at all the pretty purses.
Everybody, outlet store,
I
outlet.
have to come down so I can go shoe shopping.
I'm just gonna plant the shit out of it and try to cut down on the algae. Donnie, I would for sure plant the hell out of it. But I've tried that in my past, just in the past, thinking that I could outplant the light and try to avoid algae that way by planting it pretty aggressively right off the bat. And the downside is
You just get more plants with algae?
you just get more plants with algae. That's realistically the thing. A big part of it is the plants actually adapting to the amount of light that are going on in there. They're not used to LED light. They just really aren't. And it's going to take some time for them to come around. As you guys have noticed on the 240, I haven't even put the LEDs onto the 240 yet, mainly because I wanted to get it planted, get it established, and then start adding them in over time. So each side I'm going to add 6 of those GU10 bulbs that I've been using, and just kind of ramp up the light slowly but surely. But I also need to build the rack, and I also need to get the other 180 going. Potato Bro over here was like, "What's wrong with your face? What's wrong with your face? Why don't you have this 180 set up?" When we were out in the fish room?
Yes.
And I said, "That's it. We're gonna fight," and we grappled.
Yeah, it was not great.
We grappled.
Who won?
Victoria sprayed us down with olive oil, and we
Said-
grappled each
said
other.
You'd better do it yourself if you want to see
It's
that thing put together.
commonly referred to as Greco-Roman wrestling.
They wanted it to be edible?
You know, hey man, you got to think about the environment, okay? We can't go around using hydraulic oil.
I said baby oil.
You're gonna go.
Hydraulic oil.
It's made of babies.
Babies.
It's made out of babies.
Like,
Ours
you
is
don't need
made
that
out of
baby,
olive.
right? I need to
All
make
right.
some oil.
I digress. We're getting off track because we're over an hour here. I want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. I want to say thank you to Steven Scogland for your super chat support. $2. We're going to split it between Potato and I. Damn, now I owe him $2. Thanks, Donnie. We're going to go ahead and split our $4 shake here and go ahead and maybe roll over to the old ice cream shanty and find our... kick over a bucket and see if there's any ice creams underneath
That's
there.
a whole pie at Sherry's with my discount.
Are you gonna give everybody a discount?
I'm just going to get
No.
discounts for days. And Donnie Hill, thank you very much for your super chat. I really appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Not we. The royal we. Me and Jesus. We shall be here tomorrow at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And those of you that maybe missed it, like Jenny Lee just checking in now, this will upload as a video, and beware, it will be total chaos because the first half of this was completely technical difficulty. Maybe go back and watch a different video that doesn't seem to be as ridiculous as this one. Oh, Punky Pam has been here the whole time.
Lurking.
Lurkers.
Thanks, Steven. We'll try to get
Hashtag FishFam Lurkers. I like it. That's one of my favorite things. And I also looking forward to a little Greco-Roman wrestling tomorrow. That's going to be my new exercise of choice. Finding grown men to coat ourselves in olive oil and grapple in the dark. I mean, with all the lights on. I mean, it's jiu-jitsu class.
What are you doing while I'm not home?
None of that. I'm just making bad jokes. Happy Labor Day to everybody. It's a joke about Labor Day.
That's what you want.
All right.
Well, without labor, we can't have the babies for the oil.
For the oil.
You're right. We gotta have some. We gotta find some babies so we can make some oil. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your Labor Day weekend. Stay safe out there. Stop lighting off fireworks in the street, or I will run you over with my truck.
Fun.
Whilst I spray you with the hose.
Let's see. So, what did it say? What's his name? Bob Barker said, "Spay and neuter your pets." I say, "Stop lighting off fireworks in the street, you maniacs." It's September and stupid. All right. Have a great night, everybody. Cover up your ears, cause later.